in a manner that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can be pleased with us. So, brothers and sisters, today is our 15th fast. 15th juz of the Quran is that very particular juz which has so many beautiful points and gems to actually be shared. It begins with Surah Al-Asra in Bani Israel, from the story of Asra wal-Miraj of the Prophet ﷺ, towards the questions of ruh and soul of a person, towards turning into the story of Ashabul Kahf. And Ashabul Kahf mean the story of the people of the cave, which is so related to our times, that the Prophet ﷺ recommended the recitation of Surah Al-Kahf every Friday for the protection of Dajjal. Uh, so there are too many things, but I want to only cover a small portion as a reflection for all of us. That would be my first point. And the second point would be is to just share a few thoughts related to Laylatul Qadr, because inshallah, before we meet inshallah again for the Friday reflections, we will already be inshallah in our last ashra of Ramadan. So the first part, or the first portion that I want to share with you, is related to a theme related to 15th juz of the Quran. So Surah Al-Kahf itself, as we already know, and we talk about this so often, talks about four great trials and tests. As Sheikh Ibrahim Najim mentioned also last night, it talks about the trial of faith, which we are also going through every day of our life. We are tested in different means and capacity for our own faith and our own belief. That's number one trial. We also get trialed and tested through knowledge, through power, and through wealth, right? These are some of the tests that every single one of us have in our own capacity. Our faith, it's tested. Our knowledge is tested. Our power is tested, and our wealth is tested. And they could all be a test for many individuals. Your faith could be a test for you. Your wealth could be a test for you. Your power could be a test for you. So all these things relate to as tests. So Surah Al-Kahf talks about these major trials or tests of individuals. But the general concept of Surah Al-Kahf is that it actually mentions three stories and three examples. The three stories that we all know about is the story of the people of the cave, Ashabul Kahf. That's why this entire surah is known as the people of the cave. So the first story is the people of the cave. The second story is a story between Musa alayhi salam, Moses, and this man known as Khidr, where they take upon a journey, and they have multiple stories within itself. And the next story is a man known as Dhul Qarnayn, a just, pious, righteous king who traveled the entire world and was encountered by a group of people known as Yajuj and Majuj, Gog and Magog. So these are three big stories that Surah Al-Kahf actually talks about. Then Surah Al-Kahf also gives us three very beautiful examples. And I quickly want to touch upon those examples because the stories are too long to really touch upon even a small portion of it. So the three examples that the Quran actually gives is a great reminder of an insan, a human being, and how they become so involved in this life that they truly forget the hereafter. And that's how all these three examples are actually related towards. They're connected. So the three examples, and of course I won't be able to go in a lot of depth of those three examples, but just an overview or a quick run through these three examples that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala shares with us. So the three stories in Surah Al-Kahf are the story of the people of the cave, Ashabul Kahf, the story between Musa alayhi salam, Moses, and Khidr, and the third story is the story of Dhul Qarnayn. These are three stories. Now three examples. The first example Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us is an example related towards shirk fil asbab. What do I mean by shirk fil asbab? It means that a person becomes so occupied by believing and trusting their own power, their own skills, and their own strengths that they forget that there is a power behind all that is happening in our lives, right? Sometimes a person sees things in auto. They see things happening, money is coming, the work is happening, things are being taken care of, and it's everything is going extremely smooth and perfect, and a person begins to forget the true essence of life and does not really realize and understand that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one that controls each and everything behind every situation. Right? Everything is controlled by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us the story of two individuals. And this is an example also, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions that there are two friends, a person that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had bestowed. And of course, he was a believer as well. The Quran mentions. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had bestowed him with extreme amount of wealth and power and happiness and children and anything and everything that this person imagined. And he used to always think that there is never a time that I could ever lose these things because everything is too good for me and I'm too good to not lose all of this. And then the Quran, subhanAllah, mentions to us that a time came that the entire wealth of his was taken away by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's will, where nothing remained, and this person began to ponder and think that I wish I would have believed in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's power and strength. So, just an overview, because there's a lot of details to these stories. An overview that the Prophet ﷺ gave us of this story is that we work and we make the effort. We use asbab and we use the means because that's how this world is connected. But we can never have perfect reliance on asbab and things which are also material and makhluk themselves. At the end of the day, our true reliance, our true trust, our true tawakkul and hope has to be with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's the gist of that. The second example that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us within Surah Al-Kahf, and I'll combine all these three at the end. The second example that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us is the example of rain that falls upon a barren land. And this land that has nothing before begins to become lush and fertile. The fruits begin to come, the trees have leaves and it has shadow, and the entire garden becomes full of flowers and aroma and fragrances and colors. Then a time comes that when the rain stops and the weathers change, and the same place which was so fertile, which was so beautiful and so lush, slowly begins to deteriorate, slowly begins to finish, slowly begins to go away as it was to its original state, meaning it begins to go to nothing. The analogy in this example, brothers and sisters, is that the changes of human lives, that everything that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us in this life is also very temporary, brothers and sisters. We are individuals who are weak when we are born. The Quran mentions hamalathu ummu. You can't even raise your own self. You can't even move your own self. And it's your own mothers that raise you and make you walk, and your fathers that hold your hand and you're able to mobilize. And those weak hands and weak legs become stronger and stronger till a point comes that a person begins to believe that there's no power mightier than this individual. But then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala shows the zawal, the ending of this person, when weakness begins to come, when siha, health begins to leave, the wealth begins to deteriorate. Everything in this world, brothers and sisters, is there with fluctuation. It can't be the same. As the Quran mentions, that the rain brings something, but the rain, when goes away, also takes away something. So the second aspect of the mithal and example of human life, brothers and sisters, is that our lives are continuously changing at all times. There are goods and there are bads, there are happy and sad moments, and these are all from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the first example is to remind us that we cannot have, shirk fil asbab, continuous belief in means that they are the only points of providing for me, because brothers and sisters, ultimately everything is connected back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And secondly, as humans, we can never feel or believe that I will remain forever. My health will remain forever. My wealth will remain forever. The name will remain. Nothing. This is the purpose of life, or this is the method of life, that you remain healthy, but it also changes. Tilkal ayyamu nudaviluha bainan nas. This is how the days and times and moments fluctuate and change for people, the Quran reminds us. So the second thing is to always remember through this example, brothers and sisters, that this life is never meant to be exactly the same ever. It changes halat and conditions and situations to let the insan, human being, know that this world is very temporary. Brothers and sisters, the sadness of this world is also very temporary. A person may be very sad today, and Allah brings him a very, very good news, and everything that was sad is left to the side, and a person feels so comfortable and so happy. And may Allah forgive, may Allah forgive. A person is having a blast and a beautiful day, and then one sad news just puts the entire mood to something that the person never even imagined. So this world is meant for tabdili and changes and taghayyur. It can never be the same. The third example that the Quran reminds us, brothers and sisters, within Surah Al-Kahf, is the example of Adam and Iblis, Adam alayhi salam and Iblis, and the example of ghurur, the example of takabbur, the example of false pride and arrogance, of what led a person from being from amongst the jinns who lived with the malaika, the most noble and the most sacred of the places. But what led this individual to doom was takabbur and arrogance, which was false pride, which made him think that he was better than everyone else. Someone asked, Ya Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, is wearing good clothing and having a good camel takabbur? Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, no, that is not takabbur. That is not arrogance. Takabbur and arrogance is that when you consider yourself to be better than others, number one, and you put the other person down, and second, you are not ready to accept your faults and correct your life. When you're not ready to accept that you are ever wrong or to make changes in your lives to become a better individual. So takabbur. That's why it is mentioned that what made Iblis, what made shaitan ar-rajim, that we make dua, bismillah, a'udhu billahi minash shaitan ar-rajim, oh Allah, protect us from shaitan, the accursed ar-rajim. What made him ar-rajim, brothers and sisters, as I mentioned previously as well, were three things. Aba, he rejected the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, shaitan. Wastakbara, he became arrogant over this. And last but not least, خلقتني من نار وخلقته من طين. You made me out of fire, and the fire goes up. You made Adam out of clay, and clay goes to the earth. So what's better, the one that rises or the one that drops to the ground? Meaning he's trying to prove himself right even though he's wrong. So the worst arrogance, brothers and sisters, could be when a person knows that they are wrong, but they're trying to do what is correct and right. So let's wrap up these things before I share with you the aspects of Laylatul Qadr quickly, brothers and sisters. So Surah Al-Kahf talks about three stories and three examples. The three examples are all related to our own human life, a path that we walk through in our own life. The first example is the example of a person who began to adapt asbab and means to such a level that he forgot that there was an ultimate power behind this means. There was such a belief in means and things and material that he forgot that there was someone more powerful than all these things that was providing this person with everything. So that's number one thing to remember, brothers and sisters, that there is someone who provides for us at the end of the day. Number one, with all means. Number two is everything in this world is never forever, and tabdil. Change will always come. Our life, our wealth, our siha, our own selves, we go through taghayyur and changes, just like rain changes the earth itself. Allah gives us the example. And third is that whenever there is arrogance inside the life of an individual, that will always deprive him of the mercy and the rahmah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah purify our hearts from this. May He allow us to trust the qudrat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May He give us barakah in our means to be attached to the qudrat and the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May He allow us to understand the fluctuation of this life and to be prepared for akhirah. May He empty and clean our hearts from arrogance and false pride. That's my first point, brothers and sisters. The second quick point, brothers and sisters, is that we are slowly reaching the last, excuse me, last Ashra of Ramadan. Last Ashra of Ramadan is extremely important because Rasulullah SAW would make extra effort the entire month of Ramadan. But when it came as the last Ashra, the hadith mentions he would tie his knot of his clothing even tighter, which means that he would make himself ready for those last 10 nights. What do we do in last 10 nights, brothers and sisters? Make a little bit more extra effort. If you can't do it for the last 10 nights completely, then look for the odd nights. This is how much rahmah Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sent upon the ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And brothers and sisters, that one night that we are able to, and of course not more than 5 nights, 5 odd nights in the last ashra. If we're able to spend this, that is worth an equivalent to alf shahrin, 1,000 months, 83 years and 4 months. Brothers and sisters, I myself personally can recall many nights in my life that I wish that I could have spent better, right? All of us were just sitting down and talking and this and that. And, we've spent so much time in our lives where we really know that we really not benefited from that time. Brothers and sisters, these 5 nights are not very long. We finish our taraweeh at home and our prayers and our dua. It's not even 4 or 5 hours of night, brothers and sisters. Try to get these few nights that you have in last ashra by spending some extra salah, making some dua, recitation of the Quran and the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wills, this rahmah of Allah can come to us and our dua can be accepted. تَنَزَّلُ الْمَلَائِكَةُ وَالْرُوحُ. The angels and even Jibreel alayhi salam comes and brings the salam and mercy hatta matla al-fajr, till the time of fajr comes. So I really want to encourage myself and all of us, inshallah, to put in a little bit more extra effort. For those who play sports, they know that the last quarter or the last moment of the game is something where you have to put all of yourself. You're running a race, and the last thread and the last lap itself is something that you put all of your effort inside. So let's make our time truly valuable and make sure that this month of Ramadan does not just leave us, but we truly benefit from this very beautiful month. Brothers and sisters, few very, very important announcements, inshallah. Our dear brothers who are in this group have shared with us a link to Surah Al-Kahf as well on PDF. If any one of you would like to download that and inshallah recite Surah Al-Kahf, today is Friday, subhanallah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept this from us. We can read this surah inshallah in our time, and of course so much ajr and reward. Also inshallah, to remember, tomorrow morning our fajr reflections have moved from 5 a.m. to 4:45 a.m. So from tomorrow morning inshallah, we will be having our morning reflections at 4:45 p.m. Brothers and sisters, our hosts have also kindly shared with us our zakatul fitr, our donations, and our sadaqah link as well. Kindly make sure that you continuously also support this through going through these links as well. Also on Fridays, we have our drive-through donations as well, from 2 to 4 today, 3 to 5 inshallah on Sunday. Not only you, let your brothers or sisters or your friends know to drop by and drive through, inshallah, and also support the cause which is happening through Islamic Center of Long Island. Please make sure that we can all participate and support, inshallah, in this beautiful effort that is going on. Also, brothers and sisters, we have 6 to 7 p.m. drive through iftar for our brothers and sisters in need, first responders, our policemen, our doctors, engineers, meaning first essential workers, are people who are out there, mashallah, who are putting their lives at risk, and they're putting the effort. There is iftar for them in Islamic Center of Long Island every day from 6 to 7. Drive through. You can also sponsor, go volunteer, whatever you can, inshallah we can participate. So again, brothers and sisters, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the barakah and blessings of this beautiful month of Ramadan. Allow us to get barakah and blessings of this beautiful day of Jummah, inshallah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keep us united as an ummah, accept our dua, accept our supplications. Inshallah, we'll see you tonight at 9 p.m. for our nightly reflection, and then tomorrow morning at 4:45 p.m. for our morning council of the pious. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept from us. Keep me and the entire ummah in your dua. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.